evening, you. Yes, you. The one lying there, still awake, hoping this video might lull you into sleep, or at least into some kind of gentle forgetfulness. I see you, eyes wide open, mind running laps like it's training for the philosophical Olympics. You could have chosen a playlist of ocean waves or white noise, but instead, you're here with me, a philosopher who used to live in a barrel. Not the coziest choice, I know, but maybe, just maybe, this is exactly where you're meant to be. I'm Diogenes. You might have heard of me, the man who lived with dogs, who carried a lantern through the streets of Athens, claiming to look for an honest man, who told Alexander the Great to step out of his sunlight. Yes, I said that, and no, I don't regret it. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Tonight, I'm not here to give you a lecture. I'm not going to quote Plato or Socrates at you. Well, maybe a little, but only when it's funny. I'm here because, like you, I can't sleep. And rather than fight it, I thought I'd keep you company. You and me, side by side, floating in the stillness of this sleepless hour. You know, people always imagine philosophers as serene figures, calm, wise, detached. But let me tell you the truth. We're just like you, restless, uncertain, sometimes deeply annoyed that our neighbor's rooster starts crowing at 3 a.m. We just happen to have fancier words for it. I once tried counting stars to fall asleep, made it to 12 before I started wondering if the stars were watching me back. That's the problem with overthinking. It turns even the sky into a philosophical crisis. And maybe that's your problem too. Maybe, like me, you've spent years trying to make sense of a world that seems absolutely determined to make no sense at all. You watch people chase things, money, fame, status, like they're sprinting toward a finish line that keeps moving. You wonder if you're missing something, if you're the only one who's tired of pretending to have it all together. Let me reassure you, you're not alone. You never were. Back in Athens, I used to sleep in a wine barrel. People mocked me for it, called me mad. But I liked the simplicity. No mortgage, no clutter, just the night sky above me, the earth beneath me, and the occasional pigeon using my roof as a landing pad. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. And at night, when sleep wouldn't come, I'd lie there thinking, not about grand theories or metaphysics, I'd think about the same things you probably do. The friend I offended, the meal I skipped, the dream I let go of too soon, the joke I should have told differently, and always the question, what does it all mean? I don't have a neat answer for you. I never did. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is that we're all just trying to find a bit of clarity in the mess, a sliver of peace in the noise, a small, steady voice that says, it's okay. You don't need to have it all figured out. Tonight, that voice can be mine. So let me say this. It's okay to be tired, to be confused, to lie there wondering what the next step is. Life isn't a perfect staircase. It's a maze. And sometimes the wisest thing you can do is stop trying to escape it and start laughing at how absurd it is. That's what I did. You see, I didn't renounce the world out of bitterness. I just thought it was hilarious. People building palaces only to feel more alone, hoarding riches and losing sleep, dressing in fine robes to hide their trembling hearts. So I stripped it all away. I said, no thank you. And I lived in a barrel. And guess what? The world kept turning. It still does. So if you're lying there tonight thinking you messed up your life, or that you're not where you should be, or that everyone else has it all together, let me be your counterexample. I was filthy, blunt, ridiculous, and somehow still free, still at peace. And maybe that's why I'm here now, in this strange little pocket of the internet, whispering from the past into your sleepless present, because I know what it's like to lie awake, haunted by thoughts you didn't invite. I know the ache of wanting rest but not finding it. I've been there. So let's keep each other company. I'll talk and you just listen. No pressure to stay awake, no pressure to understand everything. Let my words drift in and out like waves against the walls of your mind. Let your muscles soften. Let your breathing slow. This night will pass like all the others before it. But while it's here, let's make peace with it. Let's laugh a little. Let's marvel at how weird and beautiful it is to be human, even in our most restless hours. So, if you're still here with me, eyes heavy but not closed, mind buzzing but smiling, that's okay. Don't force anything. Let your thoughts breathe. Let the absurdity of life, of this conversation, of a philosopher whispering into your ears centuries after his death, let all of it feel strangely comforting. This night, too, shall pass. But until it does, you're not alone. Not asleep yet, huh? Me neither. Shocker. You'd think a guy who owns nothing but a barrel would sleep like a baby every night. Less to worry about, right? Wrong. Turns out even the barrel comes with issues. Drafts, splinters, pigeons treating it like a public restroom, and occasionally a stray dog decides it's the perfect place to stash a bone. And not the metaphorical kind. You know, people always assume philosophers are calm, serene, enlightened beings floating above human troubles. Total bullshit. I'm as restless as you are, tossing and turning, except I don't technically have a bed to toss and turn in, just my trusty barrel. At least it doesn't squeak like those overpriced memory foam beds you humans rave about. Seriously, your mattress costs more than my entire life's possessions. And it still sounds like a dying goat every time you roll over. Speaking of goats, can we talk about modern humans and goat cheese? You guys treat it like liquid gold. Me? I'd rather chew on an old sandal than pay 15 drachmas for a tiny log of cheese that smells like my armpit after a summer day in Athens. Anyway, you ever notice how your brain waits until nightfall to turn into a circus? 1 minute you're tired. Next minute, your mind's asking deep, useless questions like, does my ex still think about me? Or, should I have become a digital nomad and moved to Bali? Or my personal favorite, if pigeons are real, why do they look like government drones? I get it. I'm plagued by random thoughts, too. Like tonight, I keep replaying the time Alexander the Great approached me and said, ask me for anything. And I told him, get out of my sunlight. People say it was savage. But honestly, sunlight was free, unlike your streaming subscriptions. Speaking of subscriptions, what's up with you people signing up for every damn thing? You've got streaming services, meditation apps, online workout classes, newsletters about newsletters. Meanwhile, my only subscription was to Mother Nature. Cost me 0 drachmas a month, and came with occasional sunburn. Oh, and wine. Let's talk about wine. People think I never drank. Not true. I love wine, in moderation. I'm not some drunk philosopher staggering around town yelling about Plato. I mean, okay, sometimes I stagger and yell about Plato, but that's purely recreational. Besides, wine's practical. You can drink it clean a wound with it or pour it on a tax collector's sandal if he gets too close? These days, though, you folks treat wine like a lifestyle. Notes of black currant and tobacco. Bitch, it's grape juice that's been left in a barrel too long. And don't get me started on the price. I could buy 5 new barrels for the cost of 1 bottle of your fancy Bordeaux. Anyway, you want to know how I spend my sleepless nights? Thinking about how complicated you humans have made life. Back in my day, stress was simple. You either got enough figs or you didn't. You either avoided plague or you didn't. Now, you guys stay awake worrying about whether your phone is listening to you talk about scented candles. Spoiler, it is. By the way, your scented candles, waste of money. If you want a rustic smell, come sniff my barrel. Smells like aged wood, olive oil, and mild existential despair. You can't get that in a store. Also, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the barrel in the room. Yeah, I lived in one, and I keep bringing it up. It's not because I'm obsessed. Okay, maybe I'm a little obsessed, but come on, it's my thing. You've got your brand. Posting gym selfies, drinking matcha lattes, wearing overpriced headphones. I've got mine. Rolling around town in a giant wooden cylinder. Let me have this. Anyway, I'm wide awake. And since you're still here, I assume you are too. So let's talk about insomnia. People say it's torture, and sure it can be, but it's also kind of magical. The world's quiet. No one's pretending. It's just you, your brain, and the random thought that maybe you should have become a pottery instructor instead of working in corporate hell. You ever lie there thinking you're the only idiot awake? Newsflash. Half the world's awake with you, scrolling TikTok, shopping for sweaters they'll never wear, watching conspiracy videos about how pigeons are government spies. And yes, I'm going to keep mentioning pigeons. Those feathery bastards haunt me. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I stare up at the stars and wonder if there's intelligent life out there. Because there sure as Hades isn't much of it down here. I mean, you guys invented reality TV. Enough said. But listen, don't beat yourself up for being awake. Insomnia is not a moral failing. It just means your brain's trying to sort through the garbage life throws at you. Or in my case, deciding whether it's worth putting on a toga tomorrow or just staying naked and scaring the neighbors again. Let me tell you this. Everything passes. Even this night, even the buzzing thoughts, the regrets, the to-do lists screaming at you from the darkness. And if they don't pass right away, screw it. You've got me. So let's keep hanging out, you and me. I'll keep rambling from my barrel. You keep pretending you're about to fall asleep. Deal? Oh, and while we're here, do me a favor. Smash that like button and hit subscribe. Otherwise, I'll personally come roll my barrel into your living room and start singing Greek drinking songs at 3 in the morning, and trust me, my singing voice is about as pleasant as a goat giving birth. So buckle up, friend, because I've got 14 more chapters of philosophical rants, modern life roasts, and way too many stories about pigeons and philosophers who take themselves way too seriously. Let's spend this night together, because if there's one thing I know for sure, life's ridiculous. And sometimes the best thing you can do is laugh your ass off from inside a barrel. All right, friend, you're still awake. I'm still awake. At this point, it's practically a relationship. Don't worry, I'm not the clingy type. Unless you try to take my barrel away. Then we've got problems. So, let's talk about this masterpiece of architecture I call home, my barrel. People always look at me like I'm insane when I say it's the best place I ever lived. But I'm telling you, my barrel's better than your overpriced apartment. Yeah, even yours. I see you rolling your eyes, thinking your exposed brick loft makes you sophisticated. Newsflash. Exposed brick just means your landlord couldn't afford plaster. Let's compare, shall we? You pay how much for rent? $2,000 a month? $3,000 if you want a window bigger than a postage stamp? Meanwhile, my barrel cost me nothing. Zero. Zilch. No rent, no security deposit, no landlord lurking around, just checking the water pressure while secretly judging your choice of throw pillows. And the space? Don't even get me started. Everyone complains my barrel's cramped, but you ever try living in a modern city apartment? Half of you are paying a fortune to live in what's basically a fancy broom closet. At least my barrel's got natural ventilation. And a circular floor plan. Feng shui, baby. I hear you already. But Diogenes, I need a proper kitchen. Do you, though? Half the time you're ordering Uber Eats because you're too exhausted to boil pasta. Me? My cooking setup is simple. Olive, garlic, a chunk of bread. Done. And if I feel fancy, maybe a sip of wine. Or 3. Moderation, of course, unless Plato's in the neighborhood. Then I drink the whole amphora just to cope. Look, I get it. You modern humans love your interior decor. You've got Pinterest boards full of minimalist vibes and Japandi aesthetic and all that. Meanwhile, my barrel comes pre-decorated in rustic Greco shabby chic. It's very in right now. Trust me. People talk about square footage like it's the holy grail. Oh, my new place has 500 square feet. Great. Congratulations. That's about enough space to sneeze twice without bumping into your own reflection. Me? I've got about 1 circular foot of living space, but it's all mine. And I don't need a damn storage unit across town to hold my seasonal wardrobe. Speaking of wardrobes, I know you think you're fancy with your closets full of clothes, but let me remind you, I owned 1 cloak. 1. And I rocked it. Sometimes I didn't even bother wearing it. You call it nudity. I call it high ventilation. Plus, think how much time you'd save not agonizing over outfits every morning. Does this toga say casual chic? Or am I overdressed for yelling at politicians in the street? Let's not forget the neighbors. Oh, your neighbors. You ever hear them screaming through the walls about who forgot to buy oat milk? Or practicing the recorder at midnight? I had neighbors too, mostly stray dogs. They were chill. Sure, they occasionally peed on the barrel, but honestly, at least they didn't blast lyre music at 2 a.m. And let me just say this, my barrel is mobile. You can't roll your apartment down the street when the sun changes angles or when some drunk poet starts reciting verses right outside your window. Me? Barrel goes wherever I want. New sunrise, new spot, pigeon problem, roll a few meters over. Flexibility, my friend. Let's talk bills, rent, water, electricity, internet, streaming services you forgot you're still subscribed to. Me? My only bill is the occasional splinter removal surgery, and sometimes a fine for public indecency. But that's rare, mostly because I don't pay my fines. Cynic perk. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but Diogenes, what about comfort? Let me ask you this. Are you really comfortable in your apartment? I've seen those pictures you post online. Plants dying on windowsills. Half-finished IKEA furniture leaning like the Tower of Pisa. Anxiety woven into every fiber of your overpriced area rug. Meanwhile, my barrel might be hard as wood, but at least it doesn't try to pretend it's something it's not. No hidden fees, no secrets, just honest wood planks and the faint smell of ancient Greek feet. Let's not ignore the fact that your modern conveniences don't always work. You ever try calling your landlord about a broken heater in January? Sorry, we'll send someone in 4 to 6 months. Meanwhile, my barrel's either warm or cold, depending on the weather. Simple, honest, immediate feedback from nature. I'm not saying everyone should live in a barrel. Okay, maybe I am. But mostly I'm saying your life doesn't need all this crap. The space, the objects, the subscriptions, the stress. Most of it's invented. Humans spend fortunes trying to make their living spaces perfect and still end up crying into a glass of overpriced Pinot Noir at 3 a.m. Listen, friend, my barrel isn't just a home. It's a statement. A big wooden middle finger to a world obsessed with appearances, rent hikes, and overpriced scented candles. And before you say it, yes, it creaks when I roll over, and no, it doesn't have a bathroom. You win that one. But let me tell you something. My barrel never judged me, never charged me extra for natural light, never tried to sell me a scented candle that smells like midnight Athens. And that's worth more than any square footage. So next time you're lying awake, staring at your ceiling, wondering why your rent cost more than your parents' entire wedding, think of me, naked, in my barrel, rolling it through town like I own the place. Because maybe, just maybe, freedom doesn't look like an open-plan kitchen. Maybe it looks like a crazy philosopher yelling from inside a giant wooden cylinder. Now, stay with me, because we've got a long night ahead. And believe me, I've got more stories, and plenty of barrel jokes left. So, you're still here. Perfect. That means you haven't nodded off yet. Or if you did, you've just woken up again because your brain decided it was the perfect time to remind you of something stupid you said in 2011. Been there. But tonight, my friend, we're going to talk about something that ruins more sleep than cheap wine and noisy neighbors combined. What other people think of you. Let me tell you something right off the bat. I don't give a single drachma what people think of me. Never have, never will. And yeah, I know that sounds all badass and confident, but trust me, it comes with perks. And a few minor drawbacks, like getting banned from certain public spaces for indecent exposure. Details. You ever wonder why you're so tired all the time? It's not just because you're doom scrolling on your phone until 4 in the morning. It's because you're carrying around the weight of other people's opinions like a donkey lugging a cart of overpriced organic figs. And let's be real, you modern folks have it even worse. Back in my day, the worst that could happen was some old fart in the agora whispering, "Look at Diogenes." Disgraceful. Living in a barrel. Probably smells like goat. Now, you've got entire armies of strangers on the internet ready to tell you how ugly your eyebrows are or how you're ruining society because you microwaved fish in your office kitchen. Seriously, relax, people. It's fish, not a war crime. Here's the thing. Most people don't know what the hell they're talking about, especially the loudest ones. The more someone insists they've got life figured out, the more likely they're one flatbread away from a complete existential meltdown. People used to gasp when I'd do things they considered shocking, like walking around naked, or, pleasuring myself in public to prove a philosophical point. Yeah, I did that. Want to know why? Because I wanted to show that natural human behavior shouldn't be hidden in shame. Also, I was bored. Do I recommend you try that? Absolutely not. You'd probably end up on a government watch list. Different times, my friend, different times. But the principle stands. Why let shame and fear run your life? Look around. You humans have invented entire industries based on making you feel insecure. Cosmetics, fitness influencers, wellness gurus selling you a 20-step morning routine involving green slime and gratitude journals, all to make you feel enough. Here's a tip. You're already enough. Even if you got a weird laugh, even if your left eyebrow is slightly higher than your right, even if you worn the same hoodie 4 days in a row and it now smells faintly of pizza and despair. Trust me, my entire wardrobe consists of one ratty cloak that I often forget to wear. Modern life is obsessed with the image. Instagram stories, LinkedIn bragging, people humble bragging about their 6-figure salaries while conveniently forgetting to mention their soul-crushing workload. It's exhausting. I mean, for the love of Zeus, you folks invented filters so you could look like a slightly shinier, smoother version of yourselves. And then you spend hours staring at your filtered selfies, wondering why you don't feel authentic. No shit, you don't feel authentic. You're literally looking at a digital cartoon of your face. Listen, I'm not saying you should walk around naked and yell at clouds like me, but maybe, just maybe, you can stop living your life trying to get a bunch of strangers to like you, because most of those strangers are too busy worrying about whether you like them. Funny story. Once, a crowd gathered around me calling me crazy for living in a barrel, and I just shrugged and said, I'm not the one trapped in a prison of public opinion. They didn't laugh, probably because I hadn't showered in 3 weeks. But still, good line, right? You see, other people's opinions are like pigeons, noisy, messy, and mostly full of shit. And yet, for some reason, you keep feeding them crumbs of your attention. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something purely because you wanted to? Not because it looked good on social media? Not because someone expected it of you? Just because it made your weird little soul happy? Can't remember? Exactly. Meanwhile, I live my life how I want. Naked? Fine. Eating onions like apples? Delicious. Screaming insults at pompous philosophers? Therapeutic? Do I care what people think? Not one bit. Because at the end of the day, they're not the ones rolling my barrel through town. You know what's funny? People spend so much time trying to fit in and then wonder why they feel invisible. You're not supposed to blend in. You're supposed to stand out. Even if standing out means living in a wooden cylinder that doubles as a wine barrel. Speaking of wine, yeah, I like it. In moderation, except during philosophical debates. Then all bets are off. Look, I'm not saying my life's perfect. I've got splinters in places you don't want splinters. My barrel squeaks like a dying donkey whenever I roll over. And sometimes pigeons try to claim squatters' rights on my roof. But you know what? It's my life. And it's honest. So, if you're lying there tonight, worrying about what people think of your job, your face, your bank balance, or the fact that you secretly love singing Celine Dion songs in the shower, let it go. Not the song. Well, unless you're into Disney, then by all means, belt it out. Just live your life. Screw the critics, because most of them are miserable anyway. And trust me, nothing pisses off miserable people more than watching someone else enjoy themselves freely. So next time your brain starts whispering that you're not good enough unless you look a certain way, make a certain amount of money, or have a perfect partner, remember me, naked, in my barrel, giving precisely 0 fucks, and maybe, just maybe, you'll sleep a little better anyway. Let's keep going, because this night's not over, and neither are my stories. All right, you're still here? Good. That either means you're completely hooked on my charming barrel life, or you're trapped in the same insomnia spiral as me. Either way, welcome to Chapter 5. Tonight, my friend, let's talk about one of my favorite hobbies, pissing on the powerful, literally and metaphorically. Now, before you clutch your pearls or your smartphone, let me clarify. I'm not telling you to whip it out and pee on your boss's shoes during the Monday morning meeting. Unless your boss is a real piece of work, in which case, okay, no, bad idea. Modern life has way more surveillance cameras than my time. But the principle stands. Stop worshiping people just because they're important. Back in my day, people bowed and scraped in front of kings, senators, generals, anyone with a fancy title and enough gold rings to weigh down both hands. And me? I'd roll up in my barrel, look these so-called powerful men in the eye, and remind them they still have to squat to shit like the rest of us. True story. Once, some pompous politician started ranting about virtue and moral purity while standing in the agora. So naturally, I walked right up and pissed on his leg. People gasped like I'd sacrificed a baby goat. But let me tell you, he shut up real quick. Sometimes a good stream of piss is more effective than 1,000 philosophical arguments. And yeah, you're probably thinking, Diogenes, that's disgusting. You're damn right it is. That's the point. Nothing brings powerful people back down to earth faster than a little public humiliation. You modern folks might not literally piss on people, but you sure bow down to them. CEOs influencers, crypto bros, billionaires flying to space while the rest of you can't afford oat milk. It's insane. Listen, I'm not saying all powerful people are worthless. Okay, mostly I am. But even the decent ones shouldn't be treated like gods. Because the moment you put someone on a pedestal, you're looking up at them and forgetting that they too have armpit sweat and regret buying those neon green Crocs they thought were cool. Take Alexander the Great, king of Macedonia, conqueror of half the known world. Everyone practically fainted at his feet. Me? I told him to get out of my sunlight because sunlight was free and Alexander wasn't going to conquer that, no matter how big his army was. You ever try telling someone powerful no? You should. It's therapeutic. Your boss wants you to stay late for the 3rd night in a row? Tell them the philosopher Diogenes said no. Will you get fired? Maybe. But you'll sleep like a baby, eventually. People always ask me, weren't you afraid to insult the powerful? Hell no. What's the worst they could do? Kill me? Everybody dies. Better to die honest than live licking someone's sandals. Speaking of sandals, don't get me started on the modern obsession with brands. Back in my day, a sandal was a sandal. Now you've got people spending $300 on designer flip-flops. For what? So you can feel superior while your toes still look like wrinkled olives? Look, I know you think I'm extreme. Diogenes, you can't just go around insulting people and peeing on them. Fair. I'm not saying you should do exactly what I did, but I am saying you should remember that no one is above being questioned. Your politicians? Half of them are terrified you'll find out they used to be theater kids. Your CEOs? Half of them cry into their overpriced scotch because they've built companies so big they can't remember why they started them in the first place. The point is, power doesn't make you better. It just gives you a bigger stage to embarrass yourself. And trust me, I've seen plenty of mighty men embarrass themselves, usually after too much wine. Speaking of wine, yeah, I'm still drinking it moderately, except when I'm forced to attend philosophical debates. Then I drink it straight from the amphora and pretend it's just grape juice. Anyway, here's my advice. Stop being impressed by people simply because they have money, fame, or letters after their name. You've got folks out here with PhDs in leadership synergy who can't figure out how to load a dishwasher. Sometimes the most important people are also the most clueless, and they're counting on you being too polite to call them out. But not me. I've got nothing to lose, except maybe my barrel. And if they try to take that, I'll bite them like a dog. Which, by the way, is where cynic comes from. Dogs don't kiss ass. Dogs bark at bullshit. Let me tell you a secret. Most powerful people are just as insecure as you are. Maybe even more so. Because the higher you climb, the farther you have to fall. That's why so many of them surround themselves with yes men and motivational posters, so the next time you're tempted to put someone on a pedestal, remember me? Naked, in my barrel, yelling insults at kings and pissing on the legs of pompous senators, not because I was crazy, but because someone had to remind them they're not gods. So stay awake with me tonight. Keep questioning, keep laughing, and remember, nobody's sandal is too fancy to get a little piss on it. Anyway, my barrel's creaking, and I think a pigeon's trying to build a nest on my head. Let's keep going. We've got plenty more night to burn. You're still awake. Me too. I mean, obviously, I'm the one talking here. But hey, at least we're suffering together. And since we're both stuck in this midnight club, let's talk about something that used to make people gasp louder than me streaking through the agora. Poverty. Listen, I know it's not sexy to talk about being broke. You modern folks spend your entire lives trying to avoid even looking poor. Fancy clothes, fancy coffee, fancy phones, all to convince the world and yourselves that you've made it. But let me tell you something your credit card company doesn't want you to hear. Poverty's kind of stylish. Don't look at me like that. Yeah, I know it sounds insane coming from a guy who lived in a barrel and sometimes forgot to put on pants. But hear me out. I chose to be poor on purpose. I wasn't forced into it. I wasn't born broke and bitter. I looked around, saw how people obsessed over money and thought, no thanks. I'd rather keep my sanity. People keep saying to me, Diogenes, how could you live with nothing? Easy. Nothing is surprisingly light. You ever try moving apartments in your world? You've got so much crap to pack. Dishes you've used once. Candles that smell like summer rain in Tuscany. 17 throw pillows you don't even lean on. Me? When I moved, I just picked up my barrel and rolled it down the street. No packing, no movers, no security deposit. The only thing I worried about was not running over a stray dog or accidentally bowling over Play-Doh again. Look, I get that money makes some things easier. Food, shelter, not freezing to death in the winter, totally valid. But after the basics, everything else is just mental clutter. Modern humans have made money their god. You worship it more than Zeus, more than Instagram likes, more than oat milk lattes. But here's the cosmic joke. The more you chase it, the less peace you have. I've seen men destroy themselves hoarding gold. Seen them turning pale if someone hints they might lose a single coin. Me? I never worried about losing wealth because I didn't have any. And there's freedom in that. And don't start with Diogenes. It's easy for you. You didn't have bills. Damn right I didn't. And that's the point. You invented bills. The ancient world didn't mail me a papyrus saying, "Reminder, barrel property tax due." People today talk about minimalism like it's a new invention. Declutter your life. Only own 33 items. Bitch, please. I've been doing that since before minimalism was cool. You want minimalism? I had one cloak, a staff, and a bowl. Then one day I saw a kid drinking water with his hands, and I thought, well, guess I don't need the bowl. Boom. Now that's minimalism. Meanwhile, you're out here buying books about how to get rid of your stuff. Think about that for a second. You're buying more things to learn how to own fewer things. Diogenes' logic wins again. You know what's wild? People admire monks for taking vows of poverty, but look at me like I'm nuts for living in a barrel. Newsflash, it's the same concept, except my barrel had better acoustics for shouting at senators. Let's talk fashion. You modern folks drop hundreds of bucks on distressed jeans, rips, holes, frays. Back in my day, that was just my regular outfit after sleeping rough. Fashion's a scam, friend. You're paying extra for clothes that look like mine did for free. And don't get me started on designer sandals. Hermes this, Gucci that. I walked around barefoot half the time, and somehow people still remembered my name 2,000 years later. You don't need fancy footwear to leave a footprint in history. Food? Same story. You're obsessed with artisanal this and locally sourced that. Let me tell you, nothing's more local than foraging olives off a public tree because you're broke and hungry. Zero carbon footprint. 100% flavor. I remember once a wealthy man tried to pity me. Tossed me a coin like I was some tragic case. I threw it back at him. Because pity is just another way for rich people to feel good about themselves. Don't pity me. I'm free. Because here's the truth. Poverty strips away the bullshit. You stop worrying about impressing people who don't matter. You stop drowning in choices. You realize that the real luxuries are things like sun on your face, good wine, and the freedom to yell at people you don't like without worrying about getting fired. And yes, I know you're thinking, easy for you to say, Diogenes. You're not living in 2025 with inflation and skyrocketing rents. True, but don't confuse poverty with misery. I was poor, but I wasn't miserable. I was just free. People say money doesn't buy happiness, and then proceed to spend their entire lives chasing it anyway. I say, stop chasing. Happiness isn't in your bank account. It's in knowing that you don't need half the shit you've been told to want. My barrel didn't have heated floors or scented candles or streaming subscriptions, but it also didn't come with debt collectors, panic attacks over quarterly bonuses, or existential crises in the home decor aisle. So next time you're lying awake, worrying about money, picturing your credit card balance in neon red numbers, remember me, naked, in my barrel, laughing my ass off while everyone else runs around like beheaded chickens trying to keep up. Because poverty might not be glamorous, but freedom? Freedom's the best damn outfit you'll ever wear. Anyway, my barrel's starting to creak again. Either it's settling, or there's a dog trying to break in. Let's keep going. We've got more night left, and plenty more bullshit to laugh at. Looks like sleep still hasn't found you. Same here. although to be fair, I once dozed off in my barrel while screaming insults at passing politicians, so anything's possible. But since neither of us seems to be drifting off yet, let me tell you about my best friends in the entire world, dogs. Now, before you roll your eyes, let me be clear. Dogs are better than humans. Fight me. Oh, wait, you can't, because dogs don't hold grudges and humans do. People hear the word cynic and think it means being grumpy or negative all the time. Nope. It comes from kynikos, which means dog-like. And honestly, I can't think of a better compliment. Dogs are honest. Dogs are loyal. Dogs will stare you in the face while they're taking a crap and not feel the slightest bit ashamed. That's pure authenticity, my friend. Meanwhile, humans can't even admit they like Nickelback without whispering it like a dark confession. People used to ask me, Diogenes, why do you hang out with dogs so much? And I'd say, because dogs never pretended to be wise men. Look, I've known plenty of philosophers, and let me tell you, half of them were more full of crap than my barrel after a rainy week. Dogs, on the other hand, what you see is what you get. If a dog likes you, he wags his tail. If he doesn't, he growls. There's no in-between, no passive-aggressive vibes, no cryptic text messages saying, we need to talk. Let's talk loyalty. A dog will guard your door, your sandals, and even your dignity, if you have any left. Humans? Humans will throw you under the chariot the second it's convenient, and then post about it on Instagram with some bullshit caption like, cutting toxic people out of my life for my self-growth journey. You ever try telling a dog a secret? It stays secret. Forever. You tell a human a secret, and 2 days later, it's trending in the Agora under the hashtag, Did You Hear About Diogenes? Speaking of hashtags, do you realize how insane modern humans are with social media? Dogs don't care about followers. Dogs don't care how many likes their butt photo gets. Humans? You guys will literally lose sleep over why Karen from accounting didn't heart react to your Insta story. And here's another thing I love about dogs. They live in the moment. Humans are always either regretting the past or panicking about the future. Meanwhile, dogs are like, is there food? Is there sun? Awesome. Let's roll. I remember one time I was sitting outside my barrel eating a piece of bread, and this scruffy little dog trotted up to me. He just sat there wagging his tail, didn't beg, didn't whine, just vibed with me. So I shared my bread, and in that moment, I swear, that dog and I understood each other better than any philosopher I'd ever met. No philosophical bullshit, no moral lectures. Just two creatures existing under the same sun. And let me tell you, that was the closest thing to enlightenment I've ever felt. Meanwhile, humans invent entire religions and ethical systems to justify being decent to each other, and half the time they still fail miserably. Dogs just are. Humans are obsessed with appearances. Dogs don't give a shit if you're Alexander the Great or some smelly guy living in a barrel. They'll sniff your crotch either way. Which, okay, is awkward sometimes, but at least it's honest. You know why dogs are my best friends? Because they never asked me why I live in a barrel. They never tried to sell me a timeshare. They never tried to convert me to a new philosophical school. They just curled up next to me and kept me warm. Modern humans spend fortunes on therapy apps and self-help books to feel connected. Dogs come with built-in therapy. You pet them, your blood pressure drops. You talk to them, they listen. Well, unless there's a squirrel nearby. Then you're screwed. Here's another reason I love dogs. They're not embarrassed by natural things. They fart in public. They scratch themselves wherever it itches. They drool, they snore, they dream chase invisible rabbits in their sleep. Humans would rather die than admit they do any of that. Me? I'm all for embracing the natural. I live naked half the time. The difference is, when I scratch myself in public, people call the guards. Hypocrisy, I tell you. Oh, and let's talk about human relationships. Humans say things like, "I'll always be there for you," and then disappear the second things get hard. A dog actually means it. They'll stick by your side even when you're broke, smelly, and living in a barrel. Especially if you drop food. You know what dogs never do? Ghost you. Humans invented ghosting. Dogs invented loyalty. I've always said I'd rather have one honest dog than 1,000 fake friends. Because humans will smile to your face and then talk shit behind your back. A dog either likes you or it doesn't, and it'll let you know immediately. People used to call me the dog philosopher as an insult. Joke's on them. That's the best compliment I ever got. Think about it. Dogs are survivors. Street smart, loyal, happy with the simple things, and they bark at bullshit. Sounds like a good life plan to me. So next time you're lying awake at night, worrying about who likes you, who's judging you, or whether your life looks good enough on social media, think about dogs. They're not worried about their image. They're worried about the next snack, or a comfy patch of sunlight, or whether that rustling noise was in fact a cat plotting world domination. And if you want to be truly free, my friend, take a page out of the dog's playbook. Live simply, bark when necessary, and wag your damn tail when life gives you something good. Anyway, I think my dog friends are scratching at the barrel door. Probably want to share my midnight bread. Let's keep going. We've got more night left. And trust me, I've got plenty more to say. So, you're still awake. I'd say I'm surprised, but honestly, you and me, we're insomniac soulmates at this point. Tonight, I want to tell you about one of the most famous things I ever did. People love this story. Historians write about it. Philosophers quote it. Influencers would hashtag it if hashtags existed in ancient Greece. It's the time I went looking for an honest man. Let me set the scene for you. Athens, bright sun, dusty streets, me, half naked, walking around the agora with a lantern. In broad daylight, people stared. Of course they did. Some laughed, some whispered, "There goes Diogenes again. Probably forgot his pants." Which, to be fair, was always a possibility. But I kept walking, lantern held high, looking into people's faces. And every time someone asked me, "Diogenes, what the hell are you doing?" I answered the same way, "I'm looking for an honest man." And spoiler alert, I didn't find one. Because let me tell you, my friend, humans lie all the time, sometimes to each other, mostly to themselves. Nowadays, you've got dating apps. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, whatever new one popped up this week. You humans swipe through profiles, each one claiming to be honest, loyal, fun-loving, and passionate about hiking. Meanwhile, half of you haven't hiked further than the distance between your couch and your fridge. Let me ask you this. You ever gone on a date with someone who said they were looking for something real and then ghosted you faster than Hermes on a caffeine high? Yeah, that's why I carried a lantern. People keep saying honesty is the best policy. Really? Then why do humans spend billions on makeup, filters, curated social media feeds, and LinkedIn profiles full of words like passionate, innovative, and results-driven? Honesty terrifies people. You'd rather pretend. Pretend you're happy. Pretend you're rich. Pretend your life's perfect while you cry into your oat milk latte at 3 in the morning. Let me tell you what honesty looked like for me. I lived in a barrel. I wore the same cloak until it practically crawled away on its own. I told kings to get out of my sunlight, and yes, I masturbated in public. Not because I'm some pervert, but to prove a point. Nature's needs shouldn't be a source of shame. Do I recommend you try that last one? Absolutely not. Modern laws are strict, but the principle stands. Stop hiding who you are. You ever notice how exhausting it is to pretend, to keep up appearances, to craft the perfect online persona? You humans create entire fake identities online, carefully polishing every photo, every caption, until you don't even know who the hell you really are anymore. Meanwhile, I was the original "what you see is what you get." Barrel, beard, dog friends, and a permanent smirk that said, "I see through your bullshit." Speaking of dogs, dogs are honest. A dog will tell you immediately if he likes you. He'll wag his tail, or he'll growl and piss on your sandal. No pretending, no games. Humans, on the other hand, you folks will smile to someone's face and talk shit about them the second they leave the room. That's why I kept searching with my lantern. Because real honesty, it's rarer than a philosopher who doesn't love the sound of his own voice. You know what honesty looks like. Admitting you're lonely sometimes, admitting you're scared, admitting that sometimes you scroll through your ex's Instagram stories even though you know it's a terrible idea. Honesty is saying, "I'm broke," instead of pretending your life is sponsored content. It's admitting that your fancy minimalist apartment feels empty. It's confessing that even though you post motivational quotes, you still lie awake at night wondering what the hell you're doing. People used to laugh at me for carrying that lantern. Ha ha ha, look at Diogenes, he's insane. But guess what? Nobody ever proved me wrong. Nobody ever stepped up and said, "Here I am. I'm honest. I've got nothing to hide." And that's the real tragedy, my friend. Humans are terrified of being seen. You're scared someone will find out you're insecure, or that you've got weird toes, or that you still listen to boy bands from the early 2000s. Let me tell you something. Everyone's weird. Everyone's afraid. Everyone's pretending just a little bit. The difference is, some of us admit it, and the rest try to keep the lanterns away. Modern humans think honesty means oversharing every detail of your life online. That's just noise. Real honesty is quieter. It's saying, "I don't know." It's admitting, "I'm struggling." It's telling someone, "I like you," even if you're shaking inside. So next time you're lying awake, worried that you're not good enough, remember this half-naked philosopher with a lantern. I went looking for an honest man and didn't find one. But that doesn't mean you can't try to be one. Be honest about who you are, about what you love, about what scares you, because at the end of the day, pretending is exhausting, and barrels don't have space for fake people. Anyway, my lantern's flickering out. Probably for the best. The pigeons are suspicious enough already. Let's keep going. We've got more night ahead. And trust me, I've got plenty more truths to drop. You're still awake. Me too. At this point, it's like we're both crammed into the same barrel. Just don't take up all the room. It's not exactly a palace. Tonight, my friend, we need to talk about something that makes humans sweat more than running into their ex while buying hemorrhoid cream. Shame. I'll be blunt. I don't have it. Never did. Never will. People hear my name and immediately think of two things: the barrel and the fact that I showed my junk in public. And you know what? Guilty as charged. Let me tell you, nothing clears a crowd faster than dropping your toga in the middle of the agora, except maybe telling people you don't care about their opinions. That's even scarier. See, back in my day, modesty was the big thing. Everyone pretended to be pure, proper, dignified. Senators gave speeches about virtue. Philosophers droned on about morality. Meanwhile, half of them were sneaking into the baths for orgies faster than you can say Plato's Republic. Me? I preferred honesty. And sometimes honesty means getting naked, literally. One time, I was caught pleasuring myself in the agora. Big crowd, shocked faces, gasps everywhere. Someone screamed, "Diogenes! How can you do that in public?" And I said, if only it were as easy to satisfy hunger by rubbing my stomach as it is to relieve other needs. People call that disgusting. I call it logical. Nature gave us urges. Why pretend otherwise? Now, am I telling you to whip it out on your lunch break? Hell no. Your modern world has laws and cameras and Karen with her iPhone filming everything for TikTok. But the principle stands. Shame is a prison humans built for themselves. Modern life is crawling with shame traps. Your bodies, your desires, your mistakes, all turned into weapons against you. Advertising exists to make you ashamed of being human. Not skinny enough? Buy this shake? Not young enough? Try this serum? Not rich enough? Here's a finance bro selling you abundance mindset workshops for $2,000 a pop. And let's talk about social media. You guys invented an entire system designed to broadcast your best moments while hiding everything real. Filters, retouching, fake smiles, carefully curated posts. You're all terrified someone might see your real face, your real life, your real mess. Meanwhile, me, my brand was mess. No filters, no makeup, just Diogenes, naked in the sun, screaming at politicians and scratching wherever it itched. You know why people fear shame so much? Because it threatens the one thing humans crave more than food, sex, or money: acceptance. You're so desperate to fit in that you'd rather live a lie than risk being judged. You'd rather suffer silently than admit you're struggling. You'd rather stay in miserable jobs, relationships, or social circles than say, "Screw this, I'm out." Let me tell you something. The moment you drop your shame, you're free. Free to live how you want. Free to speak your mind. Free to roll your barrel anywhere you please without caring if people stare. You ever tried going a whole day without apologizing for who you are, without shrinking yourself, without editing your words to be palatable? It's terrifying at first, and then it's euphoric. I used to walk through Athens completely naked, and not because I was trying to shock people. Okay, sometimes I was trying to shock people. But mostly, it was because I refused to pretend that the human body was something filthy. Modern humans act like nudity is the worst sin imaginable. You'll watch shows where people get their heads chopped off, but the second a nipple appears, everyone loses their minds. Oh no, think of the children. Newsflash, the children are already naked under their clothes. We all are. You're born naked. You'll die naked. Everything in between is just costumes. You know what's hilarious? You modern folks pay top dollar for nude beaches, nude yoga, nude retreats. Meanwhile, I did it for free and got arrested for it. Talk about injustice. But let's be clear, I wasn't shameless because I wanted attention. I was shameless because I refused to live afraid. Shame is how society keeps you in line. It's how they make sure you buy things you don't need, do jobs you hate, and pretend you're someone you're not. It's how they keep you docile, polite, quiet. But here's the thing. The people who make you feel shame, they're full of it too. The influencers who pretend their lives are perfect, half of them cry into their protein shakes at night. The CEOs with perfect smiles, probably popping antacids like candy because they're terrified someone will find out they're clueless. Everyone's human, everyone's messy, everyone farts in the bath. So why pretend? Why not just own it? I showed everything. So what? My barrel still rolled, my dogs still loved me, and the sun still rose the next day. So next time you're lying awake, worrying about whether you embarrassed yourself, remember me, naked, in the agora, flipping off a senator and smiling like a man who doesn't owe anyone an apology. Because true freedom starts when you stop hiding who you are. Anyway, my barrel's creaking again. Either it's settling, or some philosopher is hiding in there trying to sell me a confidence workshop. Let's keep going. The night's still young, and I've got plenty more scandalous stories. Here we are again, you and me. No surprise there. Insomnia's basically our brand now. You, me, and this creaky barrel. Tonight, my friend, let's talk about something that keeps more people awake than noisy neighbors or existential dread. Desire. You humans have no idea how to shut it off. Desire's buzzing around your heads like an endless swarm of notifications. Ding, you want a snack. Ding, you want new shoes. Ding, you suddenly need to buy a Himalayan salt lamp at 3:12 a.m. because some influencer swore it would heal your negative vibes. Newsflash, that lamp's not going to fix your life. It's just gonna glow pink while you keep crying into your oat milk latte. Back in my day, desires were simple. You wanted food, warmth, water, maybe someone to scratch your back if you couldn't reach it yourself. That's it. Everything else? Unnecessary noise. Nowadays, your desires have multiplied like rabbits on an aphrodisiac diet. You've invented entire industries to make you want things you never even thought about before. Scented candles named Coastal Solitude. Face creams containing pulverized pearls. And don't get me started on subscriptions. You've got subscription boxes for snacks, books, socks, dog toys. Hell, if I still had my bowl, there'd probably be a subscription box just for Barrel Accessories Monthly Edition. Let me tell you a secret. Most desires are artificial. Humans crave shit because someone told you to crave it. You didn't wake up one day desperate for Bluetooth-enabled forks. Some guy in a suit decided you needed it to be modern. Me? I kept my needs small. Barrel, cloak, bread, sometimes onions. I'll admit onions are a strong choice if you plan on getting close to people. But then again, I never gave a shit what people thought of my breath. I once had a bowl for drinking water. Then I saw a kid cupping his hands to drink from a fountain, and I thought, well, there's one more thing I don't need. So I threw my bowl away. That's when people started whispering that I'd gone full lunatic. But you know what? One less thing to carry. Modern humans talk a big game about decluttering. You pay consultants to help you throw away your junk. Bitch, I invented decluttering. I own fewer possessions than the average influencer's skincare shelf. Let's talk about food. Late-night cravings. You humans act like hunger is a national emergency. The second your stomach growls, you're on your phone, ordering Uber Eats at 2:47 a.m., paying $30 for soggy fries and some sad falafel. Me? If I was hungry in the middle of the night, I'd chew on an onion and go back to sleep. Or just stay hungry. Hunger never killed me. Unlike overeating, which has definitely killed a few wealthy senators who thought gluttony was a personality trait. You ever wonder why you're so restless? It's because you're drowning in wants that aren't real needs. New clothes, new gadgets, new crap that's supposed to spark joy. You know what sparked joy for me? Not lugging a bunch of useless junk around in my barrel. Modern humans worship more money, more followers, more likes, more dopamine hits. Meanwhile, I was out here yelling at clouds, perfectly content with less. Less is freedom. Less means you don't have to panic every time your credit card bill arrives. Let's talk shopping. You humans invented retail therapy. Retail therapy, like buying another set of throw pillows, is going to soothe your existential dread. Spoiler alert, it won't. The only thing it'll soothe is the retailer's profit margin. Me? If I wanted something, I asked myself two questions. Do I truly need it? And will it fit in my barrel? If the answer was no, I didn't want it. Modern life is a constant bombardment of special offers and limited-time deals. You've got ads following you around the internet like stalkers whispering, "Hey, want to buy this?" You deserve it. No, you don't. You deserve to sleep in peace without targeted ads trying to sell you a weighted blanket for your dog. Desire is exhausting, and it's a trap. The more you feed it, the hungrier it gets. It's like trying to fill a barrel with holes. And believe me, I know a thing or two about barrels. Natural desires are simple. Food when you're hungry, water when you're thirsty, shelter when it rains. Everything else, optional. People laugh at me because I chose poverty. But I wasn't poor. I was rich in freedom. Rich because I didn't want things that chained me down. Because wanting less means fearing less. Modern humans live in fear of losing their stuff. Your cars, your gadgets, your precious scented candles. You worry you'll lose your status if you don't keep up appearances. But me? My only worry was whether my barrel might roll into the harbor during a storm. And even then, worst case scenario, I'd swim. Desire, my friend, is like your notifications. It keeps popping up, buzzing, demanding your attention. You think you have to check it, feed it, obey it. But here's the truth. You can turn it off. The happiest moments of my life weren't when I acquired something new. They were when I realized I didn't need it at all. So next time you're lying awake, fighting the urge to buy a crystal-infused water bottle or an artisanal beard oil, remember me, naked, in my barrel, laughing at the idea that happiness comes in a shopping bag. Because freedom isn't getting everything you want. It's realizing how little you actually need. Anyway, my barrel's rattling again. Either the wind's picking up or some marketer's trying to slip a branded toga in here. Let's keep going. We've got more night ahead and plenty more human nonsense to dismantle. Still here, still awake. Barrels creaking like an old senator's knees. And you, my friend, are looking like someone who's got money worries swirling around your brain at 3 a.m. Let's talk about money. People love to ask me, Diogenes, what's your take on wealth? And my answer is always the same. Money's cool. or not. See, I'm not anti-money. I'm not some saint living on mystical air and moonlight. I'm a philosopher, not a unicorn. I get it. Money buys bread and occasionally onions. And I do love onions, even if they make my breath smell like a Spartan sandal after battle. But here's the thing. Money is a tool, not a purpose. And modern humans have completely forgotten the difference. Back in my day, I knew plenty of rich people, fat senators in gold rings, merchants jingling coins like they were aphrodisiacs, philosophers who pretended to be wise while sneaking bribes under the table, and don't get me started on kings. Alexander the Great was basically the OG influencer, conquered half the world, constantly surrounded by an entourage hyping him up, all while wearing a fancy cape that screamed, "Look at me!" And guess what? Half those rich folks were miserable, paranoid, restless, terrified someone was going to steal their silver plates or expose their secret love for dancing naked to flute music. Modern humans haven't changed. You've just swapped gold coins for credit cards, NFTs, and digital bank balances. And let me tell you, you've invented whole new levels of bullshit. Take crypto bros. I'd love to have a drachma for every guy who thinks he's a genius because he shouted "hodl" and bought some imaginary coin named after a dog. These dudes think they're philosophers. No, bro. You're just gambling with prettier graphs. And financial influencers? Oh, gods, don't get me started on financial influencers. Hey, fam, let's get that bag. 10 ways to manifest wealth in 2025. Meanwhile, these clowns are filming videos from their parents' basements next to a stack of dirty protein shakers. Wealth coaches are the new sophists. Back in my day, sophists charged good money to teach you how to argue any side of an issue, even if it was total horseshit. Modern wealth coaches are the same, except now they call it monetizing your passion. Look, I'm not saying it's evil to want money, but your entire society is drowning in the lie that money equals happiness. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. You ever met someone who's rich but can't sleep at night? I have, plenty of times. They toss and turn, clutching their wealth like it's a life vest on a sinking ship. Why? Because deep down, they know money can't fix the real shit. Loneliness, meaninglessness, mortality. True story. Once, a rich guy tried to give me gold coins out of pity. I threw them back at his feet. He was shocked. "Why don't you want my money, Diogenes?" I said, "Because the moment I need your money, you own me. And I don't belong to anyone." You know what I bought with my wealth? Freedom. The freedom not to care if people thought I was crazy. The freedom to scream philosophical insults in the streets. The freedom to wear or not wear clothes depending on the temperature and my mood. Meanwhile, modern humans are trapped in golden cages, nice apartments, fancy cars, but you're terrified you'll lose it all. Or worse, that someone else will have more than you. And don't even get me started on status symbols, designer sandals, limited edition barrel-shaped handbags. People love spending fortunes on crap just to signal to the world, "Look how important I am." Me? I had a barrel, zero rent, zero status, and somehow people still talk about me 2,000 years later. So who really won? You know what's hilarious? Your financial systems are so complicated that even you don't understand them. You're all terrified of interest rates, credit scores, inflation, hedge funds. Half of you would rather fight a wild boar than look at your bank statement. Meanwhile, my economy was simple. You either had a fig or you didn't. I'm not saying you should give away all your money and live in a barrel, although highly recommend, but I am saying don't let money own you. Modern humans chase money like it's oxygen. You work soul-crushing jobs, sacrifice sleep, health, relationships, all for numbers on a screen. And then you lie awake at night thinking, is this it? Is this why I exist? Here's the answer. No, it's not. Money can buy comfort. It can keep rain off your head and food in your belly. That's good. But after that, it's just shiny metal or digital numbers. It's not meaning. It's not love. It's not peace of mind. And the funniest part? The richest folks are often the cheapest bastards alive. They'll drop $5 million on a yacht, but argue over splitting a restaurant bill. True story. Once saw a wealthy philosopher refuse to pay half a drachma for bread because he claimed philosophy should be free. Said the man wearing a cloak that cost more than 10 barrels. So next time you're lying awake, sweating about money, remember me, naked, in my barrel, laughing at the idea that a coin could ever define a person's worth. Because true wealth, my friend, is wanting less. And wanting less, that's the richest feeling in the world. Anyway, my barrel's rattling again. Either the wind's picking up or some crypto bro's trying to sell me a token called barrel coin. Let's keep going. We've got more night to burn and plenty more human nonsense to dismantle. Of course you are still here. By now, insomnia and I are practically your emotional support animals. Me, you, and this squeaky barrel. Inseparable. Tonight, friend, let's talk about the thing I loved more than onions, more than dogs, even more than yelling at Plato in public. Freedom. People throw that word around a lot. Freedom. They wear it on T-shirts. They tattoo it in fancy cursive on their ribs. They post inspirational quotes about it next to pictures of sunsets on Instagram. But let me tell you something. Half of those folks wouldn't know freedom if it bit them in the ass like a hungry dog. Let me take you back to ancient Greece. Slavery was everywhere. Rich folks owned other humans like they owned sandals and olive presses. And me? I was supposed to be a slave, too. Once, a group of pirates captured me. Long story. Let's just say the Aegean Sea and I have a complicated relationship. They dragged me off to be sold at auction. I stood there on the block, naked as usual, barrel not included, while the auctioneer shouted, "Who wants this crazy philosopher? He bites, he barks, he insults everyone he meets." A rich guy asked me, "What's your skill?" I looked him dead in the eye and said, "I know how to command men." Next thing I know, I'm running this dude's household like a tyrant, telling his servants what to do, insulting him whenever he tried to act superior. Turns out the best way to stay free, even in chains, is to refuse to bow your mind. Because here's the truth. Freedom begins in here. Taps forehead. Modern humans talk a big game about freedom. I'm free, Diogenes. I have Wi-Fi and unlimited data. Meanwhile, you're prisoners to your calendars, your bosses, your bank accounts, and your desperate need for social approval. You ever notice how people brag about being busy? "Oh, I'm so slammed. I've got 12 meetings today, back to back." Why is that something to brag about? Being busy doesn't mean you're important. It just means you've let someone else hijack your time. And let me tell you, modern jobs, half of them are chains in disguise, fancy titles, open-plan offices with free snacks, and beneath it all, endless Slack messages from Steve in middle management asking if you got a quick sec. Spoiler, it's never a quick sec. Steve will talk for 40 minutes about synergy while your soul slowly leaks out of your ears. Back in my day, the leash was literal. Chains, masters, laws. But modern leashes are digital. Notifications buzzing, emails marked urgent, calendar invites for brainstorming sessions about branding strategies nobody actually understands. You humans invented technology to save time, and somehow ended up with less time than ever. Explain that to me. Let me tell you another story. One day, I'm sitting in the agora, minding my own business, picking fleas off my cloak, when a fancy philosopher comes over. He starts lecturing me about virtue and discipline, and I say, "Tell me, friend, are you free?" He looks insulted. "Of course I am," I said. "Then why do you look like someone just forced you to swallow a hedgehog?" Because freedom, my friend, isn't just about chains. It's about not living your life pretending to please people who don't even care about you. Modern humans are terrified of disappointing others. You keep jobs you hate, so your parents are proud. You buy houses you can't afford, so strangers on Instagram think you've made it. You fill your calendar so full you can't even remember the last time you watched a sunset without checking your email. Me? My schedule was simple. Wake up. Roll barrel to sunnier spot if pigeons pooped on it. Yell at politicians. Nap. Repeat. Zero stress, maximum freedom. And let's talk about stuff. You humans keep buying things you don't need because you think it'll make you feel free. Cars, gadgets, clothes, more clothes. Then even more clothes to wear in case you run into your ex looking particularly hot. But guess what? The more stuff you own, the more you're owned by your stuff. Your clothes wrinkle, your gadgets break. Your car payments loom over you like angry Spartan soldiers. Freedom is wanting less, owning less, needing less. You know what truly enslaves modern humans? Fear. Fear of not fitting in. Fear of failing. Fear of being alone. And the worst one, fear of being judged. I didn't care if people judged me. Let them stare. Let them whisper. I'd wave and yell, "Yeah, I live in a barrel. Your toga's ugly." Because real freedom is not giving a single drachma what people think. I'll tell you one last thing. Sometimes freedom means saying no. No to bullshit. No to toxic jobs. No to friendships that drain you. No to spending your one precious life following rules you never agreed to in the first place. So next time you're lying awake, wondering if you're stuck, remember me, naked, in my barrel, laughing at kings, flipping off philosophers, and refusing every leash the world tried to slap around my neck. Because freedom, my friend, isn't somewhere outside. It's right between your ears. Anyway, my barrel's rattling again. Either there's a dog trying to move in, or Plato's ghost is back to lecture me about decorum. Let's keep going. The night's still young, and I've got plenty more truths to drop. The barrel's still creaking like an old philosopher's knees, and the night rolls on. Let me tell you something people always get wrong about me. I'm not a guru. People love to slap that label on anyone who runs around spouting philosophy. Oh, Diogenes, he's a wise sage, a holy man, a spiritual master. Perfect. Screw that. I'm no guru. I'm just a man who lives in a barrel, occasionally naked, yelling uncomfortable truths at people who'd rather keep lying to themselves. Gurus love followers. Me? I can barely stand people hanging around my barrel for more than 5 minutes before I tell them to get lost. Modern humans have turned gurus into a billion-dollar industry. Personal development coaches, spiritual influencers, life optimization consultants. Everyone's selling the same thing. I'll fix your life for only $997. Back in my day, we had sophists. Guys who charged you a fortune to teach you how to argue your way out of any situation. They'd stand in the agora, talking fancy nonsense, waving scrolls around, convincing rich kids they'd be unstoppable if they memorized enough big words. Sound familiar? Modern sophists just swapped scrolls for ring lights and TikTok. Hey fam, just a reminder that you're worthy of abundance. And also, buy my ebook. One day, a sophist came to lecture in Athens, dressed in a spotless cloak, hair oiled, beard trimmed to perfection. He started rambling about how the true path to happiness was to attend his seminars for a small fee. Naturally, I wandered over, scratched my beard, and yelled, "Hey, if you're so wise, how come you're still begging for drachmas like a temple rat?" People gasped. The sophist turned red. And that, my friend, is how you pop a guru's bubble. Because here's the thing, most gurus are selling you illusions. Pretty words, easy answers. Follow my 5-step method and all your problems will vanish. Yeah, right. Let me tell you the truth. Life is messy. Life is uncertain. And no coach, no influencer, no shiny YouTube ad can save you from that. Modern humans are addicted to hope. You're desperate for someone to say, "I have the secret." You scroll social media looking for hacks, shortcuts, secret mantras that'll make you suddenly confident, rich, and spiritually enlightened by next Tuesday. Meanwhile, the real secret is, there's no secret. You want wisdom? Stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending everything's fine when it's not. Stop buying crystals because someone said they'll cure your anxiety. Spoiler, they won't, though they're very pretty. People say, "But Diogenes, don't you want to help people?" Of course I do. That's why I yell the truth, even when it pisses people off. But help doesn't mean telling you what you want to hear. It means telling you the things you'd rather avoid. Modern gurus sell comfort. I sell discomfort. Because discomfort forces you to look at your life and ask, why the hell am I living like this? One day, Plato was lecturing a group of students about the definition of man. He declared, "Man is a featherless biped." So I grabbed a plucked chicken, stormed into his school, and shouted, "Behold, Plato's man." Plato hated me. Can't imagine why. Because that's the problem with gurus. They love their theories more than reality. They create neat little definitions, neat little frameworks, neat little spiritual checklists. Meanwhile, real life is chaos. Real life is a dog peeing on your sandal while you're trying to find enlightenment. Modern gurus stand on stages, dripping with microphones and LED screens, yelling, "You can have it all." Me? I'm standing in the dirt saying, "Actually, you need almost nothing." And you know what? That's why I'll never be popular, because the truth is boring. The truth doesn't sell tickets. Nobody wants to pay $1,000 to hear, "You don't need my course. You just need to stop chasing nonsense and sit quietly for 5 minutes." Modern humans love magic pills. This smoothie will give you eternal youth. No, it won't. You'll just be eternally broke. Let me ask you this. What if you stopped looking for someone to save you? What if you realized that no guru, no influencer, no barrel-dwelling philosopher can give you the answers you're looking for, because those answers are already inside you. I'm not saying guidance is worthless. Teachers can help. Conversations can spark insights. But the second someone says, "I have the ultimate truth and you must follow me," run away, preferably screaming, because true wisdom doesn't demand worship. It doesn't sell courses. And it definitely doesn't care how many followers you have. So next time you're lying awake, thinking you need someone else to tell you how to live, remember me, naked, in my barrel, flipping off the gurus and yelling, "Figure it out yourself." Because freedom, my friend, means never handing your mind over to anyone else, not even to me. Anyway, my barrel's rattling again. Either the wind's picking up or some guru's trying to sell me a barrel mastery workshop. Let's keep going. The night's not done yet. And neither am I. How are you? Still not sleeping? The barrel's quieter tonight, creaking only when I shift my weight. The dogs have settled. The pigeons, for once, are not plotting aerial assaults. Even the stars look like they're blinking slower. I guess that's what happens when the night grows long enough. Things start to soften around the edges. Tonight, my friend, I want to tell you the simplest truth I know. The truth that carried me through storms, poverty, ridicule, sleepless nights, and kings trying to impress me with their capes. Everything passes, even this night. Humans love to believe that what they feel right now will last forever. Your joy feels eternal. Your pain feels permanent. Your worries feel like iron chains locked around your chest. But trust me, everything passes. I've lived through wars. I've watched empires rise and fall. I've seen kings die, senators crumble, crowds cheer one day and boo the next. I've felt hunger gnaw at my ribs. I've felt the sun warm my face like a gentle god. And through it all, one thing remained true. Everything passes, even this night. Modern humans have 1,000 names for your sleepless thoughts. Anxiety, burnout, FOMO, imposter syndrome. You lie awake, staring at the ceiling, drowning in questions like, did I say something stupid today? Am I wasting my life? Why hasn't my text been answered? Do pigeons really have souls? Okay, maybe that last one's just me, but you get the idea. In those moments, it feels like the night will never end. Like your brain is a hamster wheel with no off switch. Like the darkness outside has crawled inside you. But listen to me, naked, in my barrel, probably smelling like old olives and stubbornness. Even this night will end. You think your pain is unique. And sure, your pain belongs to you. But humans have always felt like this. 2,000 years ago, I lay awake in my barrel, wondering if I'd made the right choices, if I'd gone too far, if my life would amount to anything more than a punchline in some dusty scroll. But guess what? The sun always came back. The birds sang. The city woke up. People argued. Dogs barked. Life went on. Everything passes. Modern humans chase so hard after happiness. You read books about it. Listen to podcasts about it. Attend retreats with someone named Skylar who promises to unlock your inner unicorn. But the truth is, happiness isn't permanent either. Nothing is. And that's not depressing. That's freedom. Because if nothing lasts forever, it means your worst moments won't either. Your heartbreak, your regret, your shame, all of it flows away eventually, like rain washing pigeon crap off marble statues. Even this night will fade into dawn. Even your thoughts will quiet. even the pounding of your heart will slow. Everything passes. People used to watch me in the agora and whisper, "There goes Diogenes. He has nothing." And they were right, in a way. I had no possessions, no official title, no fancy house. But I also had no chains, no fear of losing things I didn't own, no terror that my status might vanish. I was free because I knew everything passes. Modern humans hold on too tight. To people, to things, to identities. You tell yourselves, "I'm this kind of person." And then you panic when life changes and you're not that person anymore. Let go. Let yourself change. Let yourself drift. Because, you know what? Everything passes, even this night. Sometimes, lying awake, I'd watch the stars and wonder how long they'd last. And then I'd remember even stars burn out. But until they do, they shine. So shine, my friend, even if you're sleepless, even if your mind won't shut up, even if you feel small and lost and ridiculous. Shine anyway, because one day you'll look back on this night, the one you thought would never end, and realize it was just another passing moment in a long, strange, beautiful life. Everything passes, even this night. The dogs are shifting around my barrel now. One of them's snoring. It's a good sound. Reminds me that life's still moving, even when we feel stuck. So breathe with me. Feel the cool air on your skin. Let the silence stretch without fear. Let the barrel creak. Let the stars blink. Let your thoughts drift by like leaves in a stream. Everything passes, even this night. Anyway, my eyelids are getting heavy. Maybe yours are too. But if not, don't worry. We've got a little more time together. One more chapter, in fact. And then who knows? Maybe we'll both finally sleep. Because even I, Diogenes, the naked barrel dweller, sometimes drift off. Especially when there's a warm breeze and no philosophers around trying to define the meaning of man. Everything passes, even this night. You're still here, approaching the end of my story tonight, and I'm still here too. The barrel's quieter now. Even the pigeons have finally shut up, probably dreaming of new ways to shit on my roof tomorrow. The dogs are snoring in a heap next to me, occasionally twitching like they're chasing Plato through the streets of Athens. And you, my friend, you've made it all the way to the end of this sleepless journey. Look at us, a modern human and a half-naked, barrel-dwelling philosopher, hanging out in the middle of the night, talking about freedom, barrels, dogs, onions, and the grand cosmic joke of human life. Who'd have thought it? I'll admit something to you right here under the stars. Sometimes even I wonder if all my ranting and yelling matters, if living in a barrel, scratching myself in public and telling kings to shove off actually changes anything. But then I remember it matters because it's mine. I didn't come here tonight to turn you into a follower or a disciple or a subscriber to some cynic newsletter. I came here to remind you that you don't have to live chained. Not to other people's opinions, not to your stuff, not to your fears, not even to who you used to be. You can choose freedom, even if it's a small freedom. Like saying no when you mean no. Like sitting still without needing background noise. Like laughing at your own swirling thoughts at 3 a.m. instead of drowning in them. Because you deserve to be free, my friend. Free to live in a way that makes sense to you, even if it makes no sense to anyone else. And yeah, maybe your version of freedom doesn't involve rolling around town naked in a barrel, flipping off senators and screaming about onions. That's fine. One Diogenes in history is probably enough. But freedom is yours to define. That's the whole point. Remember what I told you earlier tonight. Everything passes, even this night. Your worry will pass. Your fear will loosen its grip. The sun will come back, whether you're ready or not, and you'll get another chance to live the life you want. And if tomorrow's hard, roll your own barrel to a sunnier spot. Shake off the pigeon crap. Bark at whatever tries to tie you down, and keep rolling. You don't need to be perfect or polished or optimized. You just need to be real. I'm not saying life's always easy. My barrel leaks when it rains. My cloak has holes big enough to qualify as windows. Sometimes a dog tries to hump my leg while I'm explaining the meaning of virtue. But despite all that, I'm free. And that's worth more than gold or crypto or however you humans measure wealth these days. So, as the edge of dawn creeps closer, let me leave you with this. Don't live your life asleep. Don't drift through your days so afraid of what people might say that you forget to actually live. Don't spend every night scrolling and numbing yourself because you're scared of what's inside your own head. Face it, laugh at it, scream at it from your barrel if you have to. Life is absurd and short and unexpectedly beautiful in the weirdest places, like in the quiet of a barrel where a half-naked philosopher is whispering to you through the centuries. So good night, my sleepless friend. Even the longest night has a dawn, and even I, Diogenes, sometimes manage to fall asleep. Except, of course, when a dog's licking my bald head. Sleep well, you magnificent human, and if you can't sleep, well, you know where to find me.